the largest land predator on Earth, half a ton of muscle and bone. It can smell a seal through a meter of solid ice from kilometers off. One swing of a paw crushes a skull. It hunts prey twice its own weight, and it has no natural enemies at all. On the ice, it is the king. Nothing argues. All of that is true. There's just one exception. In these same frozen waters lives another hunter, black and white. And when the two of them really meet, something happens that shouldn't be able to happen. The king of the Arctic gets pulled under the water. An orca takes him down into the dark, and every ounce of that strength counts for nothing there. How? How does an animal with no enemies, a predator that fears nothing, end up that helpless? What has to go wrong for a king to go under like that? Before any of it makes sense, you have to see how unbeatable he really is first. To understand how the polar bear falls, start with why almost nothing can touch him. Size first. A big male can pass 600 kilograms and stand over 3 meters tall, reared up on his hind legs. He's the largest land carnivore alive, heavier than a Siberian tiger, heavier than a lion. When he rises to full height on the ice, nothing in the Arctic meets his eye. But size is the least interesting thing about him. The frightening part is his nose. He can find a seal's breathing hole from more than a kilometer away, and he can do it through nearly a meter of packed snow and ice. A seal shut inside a den under the surface, silent, out of sight, is not out of reach. The bear walks the ice reading a map of smell we can't really picture, and somewhere under his feet, a seal has no idea it's already been found. Then the hardware. His paws run 30 centimeters across, the size of a dinner plate, tipped with thick curved claws, and one blow from a foreleg can stun or kill. His teeth aren't built only to slice the way a cat's are. They grip and crush, holding a thrashing seal in the water long enough to haul it out. His neck is long and heavily muscled, made to lift a dead seal straight up through a hole in the ice. And here's the part people forget. This is a marine mammal. The scientific name says so outright. Ursus maritimus, the sea bear. He can swim for days. Individual bears have been tracked crossing hundreds of kilometers of open ocean, paddling through water cold enough to kill most land animals in minutes. Under the fur sits a layer of fat up to 11 centimeters thick that keeps him warm and floating, and over it, a dense coat that sheds water and holds the heat in. Add it up, and you get something that reads like a mistake in the rules. A predator the size of a small car that smells prey through solid ice, hits hard enough to break bone, and swims across a sea to find dinner. Every one of those weapons comes with a condition, though. Every single one was built for a world made of ice. It's easy to skip past that right now, while the king is at full power. It's also the crack the rest of this story falls through. For the moment, watch him do the thing he's best at. Watch him hunt. The polar bear's whole life turns on one animal, the seal. Ringed seals and bearded seals are the fuel that runs him. What he's really after isn't the meat so much as the blubber, the dense fat that lets him build reserves for the lean months. And to get at it, he's turned into one of the most patient hunters alive. The classic method is called still hunting, and it's a lesson in discipline. A seal breathes air, but lives under the ice, so it has to keep certain holes open and come back to them to breathe. The bear finds one of those holes with that impossible nose. Then he waits and waits. He'll lie next to a hole without moving for hours, sometimes for more than a day. No fidgeting, no pacing. He becomes a patch of snow with a black nose, set so close to the hole that when the moment comes, the seal won't have time to react. A seal finally rises to breathe, and the bear detonates. He bites down on the head, hooks in his claws, and drags a couple 100 pounds of seal up through a gap barely wide enough to take it. That isn't his only trick. Polar bears may run more hunting strategies than any predator on Earth. In spring, they go after seal pups by sniffing out the birthing layers hidden under the snow, then rearing up and slamming both forepaws down through the roof to reach the pup inside. In summer, they switch to aquatic stalking. The bear spots a seal resting on the ice, slides into the water without a sound, swims toward it, holding his breath for over a minute, and comes up out of the sea onto the floe to cut off the escape. Look closely at those methods though. They all share one thing. Every one of them needs ice.
Boy, this dumbass lacking on the ice, man. Fuck what you doing up there, buddy? Fuck you cooling like you on a beach some motherfucking way.
Still hunting needs a solid platform to lie on and a hole to watch. Lair hunting needs the snow-covered ice where the seals build their dens. Even the underwater stalk needs a floe for the seal to rest on and for the bear to burst up against. The ice isn't just where he lives. It's his hunting ground, his ambush, and the one edge he holds over prey that would smoke him in open water. Because that's the truth his power hides. A polar bear almost never catches a seal in the open sea. Straight swimming race, the seal wins every time. It's faster and far more at home under the waves. The bear only wins because the ice funnels the seal back to that one hole, at that one moment, where a patient king is already waiting. Take the ice away, and the best seal hunter in the world can't catch a seal at all. Sit with that for a second, because his next opponent doesn't run. It fights back, and it can kill him. Most of what a polar bear hunts can't hurt him. A seal is a meal, not a fight. But one animal on the ice earns something close to caution from him, because it can flip a hunt into the bear's own funeral. The walrus. Look at the weights. A big male walrus clears a ton easily, and some push toward 2, double or triple the bear stalking it. It's the second largest pinniped alive after the elephant seals, and it's armed. 2 tusks, elongated canine teeth that can run close to a meter, thick and sharp, swung by a massive neck. Those tusks aren't for show. Walruses kill polar bears with them. There are accounts going back centuries of bears found dead, with wounds nothing else could have made, punched through the chest, gored, while trying to take prey that fought harder than they'd bet on. For a bear, going after a healthy adult walrus is a gamble with his own life on the table. So he cheats. He rarely picks a grown bull. He goes for the young, the sick, the hurt, or he makes chaos work for him. One tactic is to charge a packed haul-out where hundreds of walruses are crammed onto the ice, setting off a panicked stampede for the water. In the crush, a calf gets cut off or trampled, and he grabs the one that's exposed. He isn't overpowering the walrus, he's outthinking it. And that's where he does something a lot of people won't believe a bear can do. For centuries, Inuit hunters told of polar bears using tools on walruses. They described a bear picking up a rock or a slab of ice and hurling it, or slamming it down onto a walrus skull, cracking bone that a bite alone couldn't break. Western scientists filed the stories under folklore for generations. They were wrong. A recent review of Inuit knowledge, set beside modern sightings, concluded those accounts were most likely describing a real hunting method. Rare, but real. Researchers in Alaska have even filmed wild polar bears throwing chunks of ice at prey. One report has a bear knocking a walrus calf unconscious with a piece of ice before killing it. Another has a bear sliding a heavy block across the frozen surface toward a breathing hole to rig an ambush. Think about what that takes. This is an animal that can look at a rock and see a weapon, that can hold in its head the idea of a tool for breaking a skull too thick to bite through. Almost nothing else on Earth does that. The bear isn't only strong, he's smart enough to solve a problem strength can't. So the portrait is nearly finished. He's enormous, he's patient. He smells the invisible. He swims across oceans. He arms himself when muscle isn't enough. On the ice, against nearly anything that lives there, he wins. But there's one more hunt worth seeing before we find out what beats him, because it shows him reaching past seals and walruses to prey you'd never expect a bear to take. Deep in Arctic winter, the sea locks over almost solid. Here and there, though, current and wind hold a patch of water open, a hole in the ice sheet sometimes only a few meters wide. And now and then, whales get caught by one. Belugas and narwhals breathe air, same as seals. When the ice closes in faster than they can reach open sea, a whole pod can end up pinned, forced to crowd into a shrinking pool and surface over and over because there's nowhere else to go. For a bear, a trapped pod is a jackpot that barely seems fair. A beluga runs well over a ton, far bigger than the bear. But the whale is stuck, and that's the whole game. It can't flee under the ice. It has to come up to breathe in the same small space again and again. So he sets up at the edge and turns the whale's own lungs against it. A beluga surfaces and he lunges, hooking his claws in, biting down, trying to drag an animal several times his weight, partway out of the water and onto the ice. It's savage, exhausting work, and it fails plenty. But a strong bear working one of these holes over days can kill whales many times his size and feed off the carcasses for weeks. There are spots in the Arctic where beluga bones ring an old breathing hole, the leftovers of a land animal killing a whale. And notice the condition again. He can only do this because the ice pins the whale and hands him a solid edge to work from. Same story as the seal. Same story as the walrus. The ice is what turns an impossible target into a reachable one. The whale is trapped because the ice traps it, and the bear is king because the ice makes him one. By now the pattern is hard to miss. Every win this animal has, from a small seal to a whale 10 times his weight, sits on the same frozen floor. So let's look at who else lives in his kingdom, and why some of his rivals don't even need strength to test him. Not every threat comes from prey. Some comes from other predators, and some from other polar bears. Out on the tundra and along the ice edge, a bear sometimes runs into Arctic wolves. One-on-one, a wolf wants no part of him. But wolves don't fight one-on-one. They work as a pack, and around a carcass worth arguing over, a beached whale, a dead seal, a group of them will circle a lone bear, darting in and out, leaning on him with sheer coordination. Usually his size settles it, and the wolves take the scraps. Still, it's a reminder that even the king can be worn down by numbers and made to defend what's his. The uglier threat comes from his own kind. Polar bears aren't social. Outside a mother with her cubs, they live alone, hunt alone, and cover huge ranges alone. They're also not kind to each other. Big adult males are a real danger to cubs, and to smaller bears generally. Killing and eating cubs is a documented part of bear life. Under the right conditions, a large male will take a cub, or even a smaller adult. A mother has to guard her young, not only against cold and hunger, but against the chance that some wandering male many times her cub's size decides the cub is food. It's the loneliest kind of power. The bear has no allies. No pack watches his back. No herd shares the lookout. Nothing to fall back on. Everything else in the Arctic is prey, competition, or, in the case of his own species, a possible killer. He faces the whole frozen world by himself from the day he leaves his mother. And it's exactly because he's so completely on his own that his power feels total. No one challenges him because he needs no one and answers to no one. On the ice, he isn't just a predator, he's sovereign. So we've followed him across his whole kingdom, outweighting the seal, outthinking the walrus, facing down wolves, ruling even his own kind. Nothing that walks or swims in his world takes him in a fair fight on the ice. On the ice. I've ended nearly every chapter on those 3 words, quietly, on purpose. Here's where they start to matter. Everything you just learned about the king's power is about to get turned against him, and all it takes is a change in the ground under his feet. Here's the catch hiding under every weapon we've listed. The nose that finds seals through the ice is useless if there's no ice to hold their breathing holes. The patience at the hole is useless, with no hole to watch. The ambush off the floe, the lair hunt through the snow, the block of ice thrown at a walrus, all of it needs a solid frozen platform to stand on. The polar bear isn't king of the Arctic. He's king of the Arctic ice. Those aren't the same kingdom. Because there's another predator here who owns everything the ice isn't. The open sea. The dark water between the floes. That predator is the orca. Pound for pound, the orca is about as complete a hunter as the ocean has. A big male reaches 9 meters and 6 tons, several times the bear's mass. His bite is stronger than any land animal's. He swims at speeds the bear can't touch, and he doesn't hunt alone. Orcas move in coordinated pods, smart enough to plan and signal and run group tactics, that have brought down animals as big as blue whales. Whatever scale you measure them on, they're among the deadliest hunters that have ever lived. For most of history, the bear and the orca barely met as enemies. Same region, different worlds. The bear on the ice above and the orca in the water below, split by a frozen ceiling that kept each in his own house. The ice was a wall between them, and the wall protected the bear. The wall is coming down. The Arctic is warming faster than almost anywhere on the planet, and the sea ice is going. Every year, there's less of it. It forms later, breaks up earlier, pulls back further from shore, and as it goes, two things happen at once, and both of them help the orca. First, the orca moves in. Killer whales, once blocked by heavy ice, now push deeper and deeper into Arctic water that used to be sealed off. Open water is their road, and every year, the ice opens more of it. They're colonizing the top of the world. Second, and much worse for the bear, the vanishing ice shoves the king off his platform and into the sea. With the floes melting and drifting apart, bears have to swim longer and longer stretches between patches of ice, sometimes hundreds of kilometers of open ocean, just to reach somewhere to hunt. A bear that used to cross a short gap now has to cross a sea. And a swimming polar bear isn't a king. He's a slow, warm, air-breathing shape on the surface, the exact silhouette an orca is built to take. In the water, every advantage flips over. He can't outswim an orca. He can't land a blow that means anything. There's no ice to climb onto, no platform to hold, no breathing hole to command. He's just prey now, in a place he was never meant to fight in. That's how the impossible thing from the opening finally happens. Not because the orca is braver, and not because it beat the bear in some titan's duel. Because the ice, the one thing that made the bear a king, melted out from under him and dropped him into the single arena where he has no answers. So picture the moment we opened on. You understand it now. A polar bear, swimming. Not by choice. There's no ice left where he needs it, and the next solid flow is a day's swim off. He's tired. He's warm-blooded and burning through energy fast in cold water. He's out in the open, on the surface, with nothing under his feet. Below him, something faster and bigger is moving in the dark. It's been reading the surface. It sees the silhouette, 4 limbs, slow strokes, a shape that can't dive away and can't fight back down here. The orca holds nothing sacred about this animal. It doesn't know it's looking at a king. It sees a warm-blooded meal in open water, same as a seal, same as anything. And it comes up from underneath. There's no contest. Everything the bear is, the size, the strength, the dinner plate paws, the skull-cracking bite, the patient mind that could turn a rock into a weapon, all of it was built for a solid world of ice. None of it works out here. He can't put his weight behind anything on water. He can't dig in a claw. He can't outweight something that circles below his reach. The orca takes him the way the sea takes everything that doesn't belong to it, and pulls him down into the cold and the dark, where the strongest land predator alive is as helpless as a cub. The king doesn't fall because he was weak. That's the part I keep coming back to. He falls because the one condition all his power leaned on, the ice under him, got taken away. Strip a lion of the ground, and he's still a lion. Strip a polar bear of the ice, and you strip out the nose, the ambush, the platform, the patience, the entire machinery of what made him unbeatable. What's left is a large animal, swimming in water that belongs to someone else. I should be honest about how often this actually happens. For now, it's rare. Orcas preying on polar bears isn't common yet. It's something scientists are watching for and warning about, expecting it to climb as the ice keeps pulling back. The full scene of an orca dragging a bear under is still an emerging story, not a daily event. But the direction doesn't wobble. Every year, the ice gives way to more open water. Every year, the bear swims more and stands on solid ground less. Every year, the wall between the two kings drops a little lower. And here's the cruel logic under all of it. The orca may not have to kill a single bear to beat him. The same melting ice that pushes the bear into the water is also taking his food. No stable ice means no breathing holes to watch, no lairs to raid, no platform to hunt from, which means fewer seals, thinner bears, and mothers who can't feed their cubs. The orca thrives in the exact open, ice-free ocean that starves the bear. One predator's kingdom is spreading, the other's is melting. So the answer to the question we started with, how the mightiest predator in the Arctic ends up helpless, turns out not to be a story about strength at all. The orca doesn't win by being tougher. It wins because the world is turning into the orca's kind of world and out of the bear's. The bear was never beaten in a fight. The ground was just pulled out from under him. The largest land predator on Earth, half a ton of muscle and bone. A nose that reads the invisible, a mind that makes weapons out of ice, a body that swims across oceans. No natural enemies. King of the frozen north. And all of it rests on a platform of ice that's disappearing under him, one summer at a time. He's still the king. It's the kingdom that's melting. And down in the dark water, patient in the way the bear used to be, something is already moving into the space the ice leaves behind.